Hello my fellow gangsters. So we're going to do some monster AI where we have bad guys that walk around using the navigation system and they can like navigate around objects and stuff, and they can see the player, and the player could like hide behind a wall and they won't be able to see him, and then they'll like chase the player and like catch him and kill him. And we'll do like kind of like a Slender Man kind of thing where you can try to find pages or some object, and then if you find them all, you win. Like the lights come on and it kills all the monsters or something. It's perfect for Halloween, yo. So I'm gonna create a new project. I'm just gonna call it Monster AI. It's a 3D project. We are gonna import. So we're gonna go Assets, Import Package, Characters. And when you installed Unity, there should be it should come with those already installed, but there's usually a check mark to install them. I'm just going to import the entire thing. We really just need the first person controller because we're going to use that to like walk around and stuff. And then we're going to go to the asset store. So you can go Window, Asset Store, and you make sure you're signed in, and find the survival shooter, which is a free one from Unity. And this is actually a really good tutorial of its own, so I would recommend actually doing their official tutorial too, separately from this. But we are just going to import just some of the art assets, because the first person controller assets get mixed up with the code that is in this thing, and then it like breaks everything. So we just want to install like just some of the art assets and stuff. So we want to uncheck pretty much everything. So we only want the audio, the materials, models. We want just the environment prefab and the textures. So nothing else. Yeah, so just these things. Don't import anything else, or it'll probably like mess up the first person controller. Alright, so we've got these things. There's no real errors. If you clear, there's no like red errors or anything. And I'm actually gonna close this tab. So let's make a new folder for our scenes. So create folder, scenes. Let's go File, save our new scene in the Scenes folder. So I'm just going to call it Scene 01. So let's go into their prefab here. We got the environment prefab. I'm just going to drag that into the hierarchy. So we got this thing. And I'm just going to turn off my directional light for a second. I want it to be really dark, so window, lighting. I'm going to turn off this auto build thing, and I'm going to do ambient source, color, and just make it like dark. You can do whatever you want, but I just want it to be like pretty dark. And I'm just going to turn the light back on for now. So I'm going to create an empty game object, and make sure I'm going to reset it by clicking the little gear thing, so it's 0, 0, 0, 0. And I'm just going to call this environment, and we'll put our environment inside of there. And it's got these borders here, these level extent. I'm going to delete both those level extent things, and delete that one. And I'm going to duplicate this environment so that we have, so right click duplicate, and then we'll have like 4 of them. So on the first environment, I'm going to make the rotation Y 45. And on the second environment, I'm going to change the position to Z minus 48 and make the rotation Y 135. And then on the third one, we'll do position X minus 48 position Z minus 48, and rotation Y 225. Yeah. And then on the last one, make the position X minus 48 and the rotation Y minus 45. So now the player will be like enclosed in this environment. And let's also select this environment thing at the top here and go click this little static thing so that it's static and choose yes, change the children. And I'm just going to save the scene. I'm also going to go game object, 3D object, quad. And we'll just make a big floor for this to cover the whole area in case there's like any cracks in the floor or anything to fall through. So let's name that floor. Make the position minus 24, 0 minus 24, and rotation X 90, and scale X 108 by like 104. That should be kind of just so that it's bigger than the whole area. So we got this floor. I'm going to remove the mesh renderer. So click the gear thing, remove component, and also make this guy static too. And the main camera here, I'm going to right click, delete that. And let's bring in, so standard assets, characters, first person, control character, prefab, FPS controller. Let's drag that guy in. So that's going to be our player. And I'm just going to rename it to player. If I was to play it right now, we're pretty big. I think I want to be small so that got a cool footprint. They could like fit inside a door basically. So we're pretty huge. I want to start the player like in here, I think, as like a little dude. So I'm going to stop. You can press escape to get your mouse cursor back. So I'm going to make his position 27, 0.3, minus 4.7, and rotation Y minus 92. I'm going to make all of his scale 0.25. So 0.25, 0.25, 0.25. And since he's smaller, I'm going to make his walk speed 2.5, his run speed about 5, and his jump speed about 2.5. And his step interval, which is like how often it's making that footstep sound, I want it to be a shorter distance, so 2 is pretty good. So it'll be more frequent footstep sounds. And inside the player, we got the first person character. That's got our camera here. I'm gonna make these clipping planes. Since he's smaller now, I'm gonna make that small, so like 0.01. So that will make it so that the camera is small enough that if this collider goes all the way to a wall, the camera shouldn't be like cutting through it. And I'm also going to put some music in here, so create empty. I'm going to call it BG music, and add component audio source, and play on awake true, and loop. And so we've got some audio in here, some music. So here's some background music, so drag that on there. And let's just try playing it. super crazy loud, so I'm gonna make the volume on the music like 0.05. I'm gonna turn off this directional light, and on our player's camera, I'm gonna make the background, or I'm gonna make it a solid color, and then make the background just black. And I'm just gonna give him a flashlight. So let's go create a spotlight, so game object light spotlight, and drag that inside first person character, so it's inside the camera, and just reset it. Click the little gear, reset, so it's like facing forwards out the player's view. I'm gonna make the range like 20 and the spot angle like 70, and for the color I'm gonna do like a light bluish color, so I did C8E4FFFF, but you can do like whatever color you want. I think it looks kind of nighttime if it's a bit blue. So now it should be a bit more of a creepy place. I want to keep the footsteps kind of loud because we'll use the footsteps on the bad guys, and we'll make it so that like it's quiet and it gets louder when they get close to you and stuff. We'll make it like a 3D sound. This is cool because now he's like a little guy in this big environment. You got your little flashlight. It's freaky! So let's make our first bad guy. So there's models folder, characters, and I'm going to use the Zombear. So let's drag this guy in somewhere that the player can see him. So Zombear, yeah, I'll just start him like around here. He looks pretty awesome. And let's rename him to Monster. And let's make it so he can move around the environment. So we're gonna have Monster selected. And on the inspector go add component, navigation, Nav Mesh agent. And this is like the thing that's gonna just navigate around for us. And we'll get the radius and set that to 0.38 and make the height like 1.27, so this green thing kind of fits around the shape of the character. And then if you go window, navigation, and bake up here, this thing's gonna bake the nav mesh for him to like navigate on. And it's because the background's got like static objects and stuff, it's gonna like use all the colliders and everything, so the environment has like, you can see all the green things or like these colliders and stuff. So, and then we've got our floor underneath as well, in case there's any like gaps in this art. But you can see like all the solid stuff, and it's static, so it's not moving or anything. So we're gonna use that when we bake this thing. So where was he? So we'll make this thing the same shape as that one. So it was 0.38. And so he had height 1.27. So we'll do height 1.27. Then we'll click bake. And now it's got this blue area. That's everywhere he can walk. And you can see like when there's a car here, because there's that big box collider, he can't walk in that area, so he can only walk in the blue areas. And actually, if I move the environment down a bit, it's easier to see. Like, it kind of like visually you can see it going through and stuff, but you can see like more easily like this. That's all the areas that he can walk. So I'm gonna, like, if I go out of the navigation window, that blue stuff goes away, but I'm just gonna keep it so that we can see, like, he won't be able to walk up to the player because it cuts off right here, stuff like that, and then he'll know to go around these things. So let's create a script for our monster. I don't think I was supposed to import this scripts folder here, so I'm just going to delete it. And create our own scripts folder. So scripts, and create C# script monster, and make sure that you call it monster before you press enter, because it puts the word monster right here, and a lot of people seem to like create a new script and press enter, and then it calls it like new script or something, and then they name it after that, and then it breaks and doesn't work. So make sure that this name is always exactly the same in here. And also you always have to wait for it to finish compiling first before you drag it onto this monster guy. So let's drag him on here and double click it to open it. So at the top of the script I'm going to go public game object player, and I'm going to go private nav mesh agent and call it nav. And so inside the start we'll have nav equals get component nav mesh agent, because we're on this guy and it's going to get this because our script is right here, and we're just getting another one of the components. We're getting the nav mesh agent and saying that's nav. And we'll just tell them inside the update to walk towards the player. So we're going to go nav.setDestination player.transform.position. Save that. And once it's finished compiling, it will appear right there, so we can drag the player on there. And I'm going to have the navigation window open so that we can see more clearly what's going on. So if I press play, it should draw from him. See, there's that thing that's showing like where he's walking. You see he can't go into this area. Can't get me, sucker! Oh yeah! But if I go like way out here, see that line? It's drawing towards my character, and you can see like when I walk around things, that line bends around him. You can see on the top screen. Yeah, so you can't chase me. I think I can do show gizmos too. You can see that line. That red line is where he's pathfinding. If I go around something, it goes, that line goes around it. But now there's no blue thing, so you can't get me, sucker! So you can see that red circle, that's where you can navigate to. Can't get me, loser! Your face, you can't get me. Alright, where's my mouse? Stop. And then this gizmos thing, you can turn that off and on if you want to be able to see it in the game view. Alright, so let's take our footsteps and put them on the monster instead of on the player. So on our monster guy, let's go add component audio source, and don't play it on awake. And there's this thing called spatial blend. See, it says 2D and 3D, so we want it to be 3D, so it's 1. So that will make it so that when he's far away, there's this sound curve, and the volume will get like louder when he's getting close and quieter when he's farther away. And for this one, I'm going to make it a linear roll-off and make the max distance like 20. So I believe that's like these square things, like 20 units is like the farthest away that you're going to hear him. So 20 felt like a pretty good volume level. And so let's go into the monster script. And at the top we'll go public audio clip array foot sounds. So we'll attach the 2 different foot sounds to this array. And we'll just do a private audio source sound, private animator, anim. So when he animates, each time his foot touches the ground, we want to like make it play a sound of a footstep sound. So we can use animation events to make that play sounds. So just like this guy, we'll do the same thing where you get the component. So sound equals get component audio source, and anim equals get component animator, which we already have, I believe. So he's already got an animator and the audio source that we just added. And he moves really fast. So he's moving, where is it? Nav Mesh thing has a speed 3.5 right here. I want to be able to change that a bunch of times, so I'm going to do nav.speed. We'll set it to like 1.2. And let's also do anim.speed. So that's like how fast the animation clips will play. Equals 1.2. That I tested it before and that felt like a pretty good speed for like his foot slip for walking on the ground. So after the start thing, we're going to go public void footstep. So this is what we're going to call from an animation event, and we'll pass in an integer. Just call it num _num. So sound, so our sound.clip. So our audio clip. So our audio source right here, audio clip, we're going to attach a sound to there by saying that it equals foot sounds. This array that we just made is going to be a list of 2 different sounds basically, and we're going to use that number. So we're gonna pass in this number. It's going to be either like a 0 or a 1. So the 0 would be the first thing on the list and 1 would be the second. And then once we've done that, we're just going to go sound.play. Play the sound. We're also going to tell the animator how fast we're moving. So inside this update, I'm just going to go anim.setFloat, and we'll say velocity, and we'll use our navigation thing, nav.velocity.magnitude. So we're going to tell the animator how fast he's moving from the navigation thing. And let's save that and go back to the game and wait for it to compile. And then on our player here, I'm just going to take his volume and just turn it off so that we don't hear his footsteps. And he has somewhere on here, he's got footstep sounds. So first person controller script here, it has footstep sounds. So if you just click on it, it brings it up in a project thing so that we can find it. So there's footstep 1, 2, 3, 4 and stuff. So then on our monster, we have our list of foot sounds right here. If you actually just drag footstep 1 onto it, it will add one. And I'll just drag footstep 2. I'm just going to use the first 2 because it's just easier. So there's these 2 sounds. So this is element 0 and this is element 1. So when we pass in a 0 here, it's going to play foot sounds 0. So the first footstep. And if we did footstep with a 1 passed in, then it would be footstep 2 that would play. That we would attach to the sound clip and then play. So our monster guy needs an animator. So I'm going to create a folder called animation. And let's go create animator controller and just call it monster. And then on our monster guy, see there's nothing here for his controller. So we'll put the monster on that. And if you go Window, Animator, and you can use the middle mouse button to move around in here. And there's layers and parameters. We want to be on parameters. Let's go plus float, because before we had this anim.setFloatVelocity, so let's copy that. So we want to spell it exactly the same, case sensitive. So we'll go plus float velocity, and then we're going to need some animations in here. So in our models, so the Zombear doesn't have any animations, but the Zombunny does. And the Zombunny is compatible with the Zombear. It uses the same animations. And so they've got some animation clips already. There's like move and idle. And I don't really want this idle, but I like this part coming up here where he looks around a bit. So he looks around like that. So I just want that part because I think that's cool. So I'm going to click the little plus thing. I'm going to call it listen. Like he's listening and trying to find the player or something. And for the start frame, from 170 to 230. So those are the frames that I think look good. Because he's just doing this like looking around thing. Like it's searching for you, but it doesn't loop very well. So you check this loop time and then check loop pose. Now it loops nice and smoothly because it kind of blends it for us. And I'll just press apply. And then so our move thing, that guy's already good. But we want every time he touches the ground with his feet, we want to send that sound. So we want to call Footstep and pass in a 0 or a 1 to make those sounds play. So I'm just going to drag this thing until I get to a frame where his foot's like just touching the ground. So for me that's like frame 11. And then we're going to go to events and click this little plus make a new event thing. And the name there, we're going to use Footstep right there. And we're going to pass in a 0. So Footstep, and then the integer is 0. That's it. And then we'll go to frame 26. Do the same thing. Footstep, except we're going to pass in a 1 so that it plays the other sound. And then at the bottom here, go apply. And with our guy selected out here, or if you open it up, you can see the different animation clips. So let's drag listen in first into our, if you don't have this guy working, like make sure the monster is selected and then Animator window is open. So we got listen, and it's orange, so that's going to be like our set layer is default state, so that's where he's going to start. So, and then we'll have move. So if you right click, you can do set the one that we start on. And then we have the velocity number that we passed in for like whenever he's moving, it's taking it from the navigation thing. So I'm going to right click listen, go make transition, click on move. And then we're going to use this, we're going to say there's no exit time. So uncheck that. So that it doesn't have to wait until the animation finishes, it just does it right away. And then right here there's a condition, we'll go plus, velocity is greater than 0.2. So if he's moving faster than 0.2, we go to the move, so he starts walking. And then let's just right click this, make transition, click on the other one, on listen, and no exit time plus velocity is less than 0.2. Well, then we'll go back to just that listening one. So now when we play, the footsteps should be triggered by his little animation thing, and they should get like louder when they get close, and you can't really hear it when he's far away. And our player is just going to be all stealthy and not make any footsteps. Oh no! He's coming! I can hear him! It's also got stereo so you can know what side he is from you.